Hello, friends. CD from AK3R here. Let's talk, about stuff. So, I was talking to a lot of you guys, fans, both online and in person, about just K-pop stuff, and a lot of you guys were really interested in hearing about the generations of K-pop. Because I know a lot of people generally. Oh, who messaged me? A lot of people really want to know more about K-pop, the generations, who was what generation, what determined these generations, you know, um, and I will say, each generation of K-pop is defined by its own set of themes, concepts, styles, and music genres. Each generation has its own really distinct way of showcasing itself, and we see this mainly in who made their debuts around that time, and what the veterans who were already out at the time were doing in terms of their music. Um, Starting from the beginning, of course, is the first generation. Let's get started into it right away. Um, the first generation was basically everything early 90s up to about 2000. So this is where we saw groups like C.H.D and the Boys, Finkel, Baby Vox, G.O.D, Turbo, H.O.T, Setchkis, Shinhwa. These are all first generation idols. And JYP himself. JYP is a first generation idol. These are the artists. They really laid the foundation and the groundwork for K-pop that we know today. Like they were the starting. They were that igniting force that really helped K-pop get off the ground. I can say they really they made the Hallyu wave a thing domestically. I'll say they were the domestic people. They were the domestic one. There's a dog on my lap. They were really the domestic forces who helped it become a thing, a really powerful force in Korea. So yeah, the 90s. The 90s were a very interesting time. Even though this isn't the most accurate portrayal, I will say if you really want to get like a first-hand good look at what the 90s were like for K-pop fans, watch the TV drama Reply 1997 and maybe Reply 1994, but preferably Reply 1997 because Reply 1997 was when it was really yeah, it was intense. It was really intense. So yeah, Reply 1997 it's a good reference. It doesn't tell you everything about what happened in the 90s, but it's a good reference for any K-pop fans who are curious what the 90s may have been like, because they reference H.O.T and such keys a lot in that drama. So yeah, but yeah, just to reiterate, the 90s was mainly the Hallyu wave beginning to form in Korea. Because I'll say this, before international fans experienced the Hallyu wave, it was the native Koreans who felt it first. Because of course it's their culture, it's their music. They're going to feel the culture movement before us. I have pineapple soda, and it's actually delicious. Oh my god, random as hell. It was sitting right here. I'm just like, this soda cannot wait for me to get finished with this whole video to be drink. Cannot wait to the end of this video to drink it. But yeah, moving on. So to wrap things all up with the first generation, if I want to try to put like a definite date on it, I'll say first generation was mainly 1992 up to 2000. Now 1992 was when C.H.D and the Boys really came out and started to make some noise. And C.H.D and the Boys, they were like that. They had some power, and their music had power to it, and it really started that first chain reaction that helped pave the way for other groups to release new material as well. It says 1992 to 2000. Second generation begins around the time Boa makes her debut. Boa was the individual who really kicked things off for the second generation. The second generation of K-pop lasted from about 2001 to 2008. And this is the longest generation. What makes this generation... I'm talking fast, I'm sorry, guys. I try to slow down. What makes this generation unique is that this is the second generation. This is the generation that really started to branch K-pop out more globally. These are the idols who really started to make that first initial push to make K-pop popular overseas. And it didn't start out globally, but places like Japan and China were probably some among the first or just people who followed Asian culture really closely at that time, but it was mainly Japan and China who felt the Hallyu wave first. After the first overseas countries to really feel the Hallyu wave. This is the era where we saw groups, of course, BoA, we saw Rain, Super Junior, TVXQ, Big Bang, Shiny, 2PM, 2AM, Wonder Girls, Kara, Girls' Generation, Brown Eyed Girls. Like, this is the era where we really saw these groups who really, when I say they were the ones who helped make K-pop global. Like, they like, before Gangnam Style, before all the stuff you see all now, these groups had songs that were popular in places that Korean music usually was never popular before. See, American music had reached global popularity by the 60s. Like, by the time the 60s and the 70s rolled around, American artists having world tours wasn't exactly uncommon. American artists performing overseas wasn't uncommon. It was around this time where, like, the second generation fans that you know today, we started discovering K-pop. You know, we started discovering K-pop around this time, where even you could either be like me. I discovered it accidentally, you know, just scrolling through YouTube or just scrolling through the internet, and just happen to click on a video, and it just so happens to be a K-pop song. You're just like, ooh, what is this? Or you discover it through, like, a Japanese or a Chinese or Taiwanese drama or an anime or a video game, where a second generation idol could have been singing the OST. Like, I know some people discovered BoA through her Japanese work, and some people discovered TVXQ through their Japanese work as well. You know, this is around the time where, like, some of those early viral, those K-pop songs that were like early viral hits started to come out. You know, you saw I'm just using Wonder Girl because that's the only thing I can think of at the moment. That's the only thing I can think of at the moment. But around the time, you know, Wonder Girl's Tell Me came out, and that was the Tell Me virus. That was a period of time. Let me tell you, that was a time period. I can also say that, you know, certain songs that came out around that time were just popular, you know. So let's say you are Asian, and you know, and you lived in Asia, or your family still had a connection to Asia, and you followed the Asian entertainment scene. You know, whatever songs was popular around the whole eastern part of Asia, the eastern southeastern parts of Asia, whatever songs were popular eventually got to you. So, you know, this is a really around the time where like I said, this is the time where K-pop really began those first few steps of heading overseas. You know, Rain started doing work in America. BoA started doing work in America. Seven was doing work in America. Wonder Girls was releasing English singles, and I think Wonder Girls, this is around the time. This is like right before they went on that tour, Jonas Brothers. You know, a lot of songs just got popular. I can just say that some songs, they just got popular and spread throughout Asia. You know, if you follow certain entertainment scenes, when a song is popular on one continent, you know, it gets to people on the other continents as well. So just because it's popular in only Asia doesn't mean people from other continents and countries aren't listening to it. You know, there's at least one person who's listened to it. Unless you're from Antarctica, I highly doubt that the penguins are vibing to Eat You Up and Tell Me. I mean, you know. Third generation, y'all. Third generation, that was a very, very fun time for K-pop. That was very, very fun, to say the least. Around this time, it was about like 2009 to 2011 is third generation. You know, I will say a lot of groups, they were very innovative, very, very innovative, and they were very bold in their music production and their performance styles. They were mixing they were mixing music genres that you would never really mix together, because, you know, it's very hard to mix those genres and then perform and then have the final product be good, to say, if that makes sense to you guys. And around this time, a lot of good songs came out, and I cannot name them all as much as I would like to. I could do a whole video about their generation, but a lot of good music came out during this time. You know, I'm not going to name them all, but the groups who debuted during this time were groups like Tiara, FX, 4 Minute, After School, Miss A, Secret, Sistar, Girls' Day, A-Pink, Ailey made her debut, M Black, Teen Top, Beast, Infinite. Oh my god, so Third generation, that was amazing. That was just an amazing time. And guys, I do not have enough time to talk about the whole thing. I couldn't properly explain third generation, you guys. Even if I made a whole video about it, I could not properly explain this. But I will say, they started to shift away from like the dancey retro stuff that was popular in the first and second generation, that little dance retro hip hop stuff. Some of it stayed, some of it still stayed around, but they really started to experiment with like a lot of techno EDM music, mixing it with a little bit of rock, a little bit of some hip hop as well. You know, they really mixed it up. They really like took K-pop and shook it up, and a lot of good songs came out of it. I cannot, like I said, I cannot do that generation justice by I couldn't do it justice. So I'm just saying, if you guys ever have time, look up any of the songs that came out around 2009 and 2011, and you will. That's some good music right there. Fourth generation. Okay, fourth generation was a very interesting time for K-pop. It lasted from 2012 to 2014. You know, a lot of groups debuted in 2012. A lot of groups debuted during 2012, but not many of them lasted. You know, they either disbanded or they went on hiatuses that never ended, and or they got sucked into the military. You know, and of course, also in 2012, you know, Gangnam Style came out, and Gangnam Style really put K-pop in the map. This is the generation where the world really took notice of K-pop and acknowledged that it was this big, monstrous movement that could not be ignored, and they had to take it seriously, because just, you know, you can only ignore something for so long, you know. So, and the groups who came out around this time were groups like VIX, BAP, AOA, BTS, EXO, Newest, Akmu Musician, Top Dog, GOT7, Red Velvet, you know. And then, one thing I want to point out, you know, people were listening more to the full album. When artists would release these single, whether it was a single album, a mini album, or a full length album, fans were listening to the full album. I noticed this, you know, because there were a lot of songs that weren't title tracks that were popular amongst some of the fandoms. You know, that's one thing I can really say. That's one thing I can really pinpoint. I can't really say a style that was popular around this time. You know, 2012 was still very, you know, with techno, electronic, EDM music. 2014 had a lot of sexy concepts. I really don't know what was happening in 2013. 2013 was an interesting year. Growl was a thing, but you know, EXO was all over the place. And I Got a Boy was popular, but I don't know for 2013. You know, so fourth generation was. It was okay. It was okay. Last but not least, fifth generation, which is 2015 to now. 2015 to now. This generation started off with a lot of hip hop concepts, but recently it's been slowly changing back to your traditional K-pop sounds. There's a few things that are like that are different about the new K-pop sound that's coming. It's the traditional K-pop structure of music, but there's a few noticeable things that are different that I can say, you know. But fifth generation, you know, you have groups like 17, Monsta X, KNK, Uptension, Victon, G-Friend, Twice, IOI, Blackpink. There's so many rookie groups that I just cannot name, you know. And again, half of it is hip hop, half of it is their traditional K-pop / bubblegum pop. Where this generation is really gonna go and who's gonna survive, I really can't say for sure. But I'm interested to see what this fifth generation pulls out, because they have a lot. They have a lot to live up. They have a lot of big shoes to fill, and a lot of these veterans aren't going anywhere anytime soon. You know, a lot of the veteran groups who have been on hiatus for a number of years are coming back this year. So it's interesting to see where this is gonna go. One thing I need you guys to remember, Psy. Psy is a second generation artist. Psy is a second generation he's a second generation idol. He debuted in 2001. And another thing, the golden era of K-pop was from 2007 to 2012, ending with Psy. 2007 to 2012 was K-pop's golden era. That was the golden era of music for K-pop. Currently, I'm saying, I think, in my opinion, we are in the dark ages of K-pop right now. The dark ages begun in 2014 and has moved on to now. Why? Because not music-wise, but a lot of negative stuff has been happening in K-pop. I can't name them all, but you know, we've had some idol groups experience deaths in their groups. You know, groups are disbanding, members are leaving. Stuff has been happening, and I really hope it gets better. But just a lot of negative energies in the K-pop fandom right now. I really do hope it gets better because a lot of the groups that I grew up listening to are not together anymore. They either disbanded or they lost members. It's really upsetting, and let's just hope that it gets better. Let's just hope that it gets better. But anyways, you guys, I'm C.H.D from AK3R. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description. Shout out to the co-host featured on the channel, past, present, and future. I am C.D. Goodbye.